The question is...
Good evening, Mr. Speaker.
Hegia Parata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to take a call on the Electoral Administration Amendment Bill number 2. As previous speakers have noted, there are 3 key provisions within this bill, and this bill is itself part of a suite of electoral reform. And so this is but one part of that, and as the previous speaker has indicated, this has been carried out in the context of a consensus amongst parties on the Electoral Justice and Electoral Select Committee, because it's important that the functioning of democracy in New Zealand is clear and transparent, accountable and well understood, and has the support of all parties in Parliament. Democracy is only as good as the quality of the people who participated in it, and this bill is part of the legislative framework that provides for that quality. We have made the first part of it, which is about establishing the Electoral Commission as a Crown entity, and the second phase of that was about tidying up the institutional or the structural administration of the electoral law, of the electoral legislation, and the bill amends the Electoral Act 1993 to ensure that stage 2 of a 2-stage process of electoral administration can occur, and in a way that is as least disruptive to the general election at the end of 2011. So we look forward to the full complement of commissioners being in place to oversee the administration of this legislation. But I want to move on to the particular the provision that is about the provision for immigrant communities, for those people who are enrolled on the register, to have as much assurance as possible about what the process is and the quality of that process that will enable them to ensure that they can indeed exercise their right of democracy, which is to cast a vote. In the recent Mana by-election, it was indeed clear to us, and particularly in Mana, which has been a very committed set of communities to embracing refugee communities and immigrant communities, that as part of their citizenship entitlement in New Zealand, they understand how they might participate in the democratic process. And for many of these refugees and immigrants, they come from countries where democracy is practiced in ways that are quite different to how we here in New Zealand have come to know and enjoy it, where one's vote is free and untramelled, where one can go to a polling booth without intimidation or threat, and where one can, in the words of, or at least the repeated words of the columnist Chris Trotter, vote as if one is free. But one can only vote as if one is free if one is indeed registered to vote. So the bill also includes amendments arising from the government response to the report of the Justice and Electoral Committee on its inquiry into the 2008 election. These amendments will enable the Department of Labour immigration information, which is currently used to check whether enrolled electors are entitled to be on the electoral roll, to be used to check whether an applicant for enrolment is qualified to be enrolled. It will provide a new notice of procedure for applications that fail the pre-enrolment immigration status check. It will be used to authorise destruction of paper enrolment records so long as they have been stored as secure electronic images, and it will allow information from the Department of Internal Affairs on new and renewal passport applicants to be provided to the Chief Registrar of Electors for enrolment purposes. So, Mr. Speaker, together with the other 2 main provisions